a Thursday edition. Thank you so much for joining us here on this overcast, cloudy sky here in the capital city of Kansas. Jake and Fulton Caster back with you on this Thursday edition. Plenty to discuss. Little Chiefs, little Royals, little K-State. We'll get to all of it. Patrick Mahomes and what he could do with the top 10 defense. I'm fascinated by that graph that we got yesterday from Scott Kazmar. I think it's, oh my gosh, a lot of things to try to break down. And to be honest with you, that graph should be part of the ACT comprehension and the SAT. You know, what do you get from this graph and this image? Because it's fantastic. So we'll get to that. We're going to talk with Paul Myerberg. Hey, we told you Paul's one of the best in the biz. He said on September the 1st, I believe it was September the 1st. I'm going to double check here. Yeah, September the 1st. He goes, K-State has a great chance of winning the Big 12 title. And as the season went on, he's like, K-State is going to win the Big 12 title. And he said on Thursday a week ago that K-State's going to win the Big 12. Who won the Big 12?
That'd be the K-State Wildcats.
I'm telling you, we'll break it all down with Paul Myerberg. We'll hear from Steve Spags and Eric Bieniemy. They met with the media, and we had a chance to talk with Will Howard yesterday. Great conversation with QB1. We'll get to that coming up, as well as Brett Yormark. Throwing out some comments. The Big 12 is open for business. We'll get to that. So a lot to talk about today here on this edition of Mic'd Up. Hit us up on our Big O Tires text line, 785-272-9429. Very simple, very easy, 785-272-9429. Check us out on Twitter at SportsOn580. And check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/@SportsOn580, the little @ sign. Very easy. Or type in the search SportsOn580, click the subscribe, click the like button. All of the videos, recaps, instant reaction up on our YouTube page. Whereas, hey, I'm centered now for the first time, you know? Yesterday I was leaning more towards the left, but you can check us out up on our YouTube page. We're going to start with the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs, they lost to the Cincinnati Bengals. They did. They lost to a good team. The world's not going to end. This happens. Fulton, do you remember when the Chiefs won the Super Bowl? What happened?
Well, I know at one point in the season they lost, a couple games. Everything looked bleak, and then they, rattled off a nice little run of wins to win the game. To win the year.
Lost to the Tennessee Titans in kind of a wild situation.
Yeah.
Throwing a 3rd and short pass to Blake Bell, and then, getting a field goal blocked and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, the Kansas City Chiefs, they're going to be fine. But there's one, after the game's played, and there's a little bit more that goes on. But there is one takeaway from that game that we haven't talked about. And the term putting it on tape is something that normally doesn't get discussed unless you're talking about offense, right? Mm-hmm. We talk about this a lot. Andy Reid doesn't put out a lot of plays against poor teams. He doesn't want to put it on tape. Then teams could be prepared for it. We've heard that a lot. We have. Andy Reid's not going to do a whole lot in the game against the Rams or the game against the Titans when they didn't have quarterbacks, or the Colts. Well, kind of hurt the Chiefs against the Colts. We've heard that. Don't want to put it on tape. Well, the same thing can be said about the defense. The defense did not get much of a pass rush. Well, this is from Sports Illustrated. For the first time this season, Chris Jones did not register a single pressure. He did not get after the quarterback for a single pressure in a game. The Bengals had a great game plan and executed it to near perfection against the Chiefs' superstar. The Cincinnati Bengals double-teamed Chris Jones every play. Now, sometimes it's not necessarily a legit double team, because it says here, one thing that the Bengals made sure to do in this game was slide to Jones. Sliding means the center is going to step and work to that side's linebacker. When the linebacker is declared not a threat, they can provide help toward the slide side. That is what they did for a lot in this game. Others, they just flat out double teamed him. It's a great breakdown on Sports Illustrated for the Bengals side of things. It really, really is. You put it on tape. For the first time, and I don't know how long, Chris Jones was neutralized. He was not a factor in this game. They basically said, we are going to make somebody else beat us. This is the upfront line of scrimmage version of let's play too deep against the Kansas City Chiefs. We're going to put Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer and never blitz. We're going to drop all these dudes. We're going to drop 8. Let's make the running backs. Let's make Andy Reid run the ball on 3rd and 3 at the Bengals 30-yard line. Because we don't think they're going to do that. We're going to drop 8. Someone's going to have to find a zone with 8 dudes out there. That's what this is against Chris Jones. It's on tape right now. How many other teams are going to be looking at this model and now employing it or implying it? How many are there? I do it every damn play. Yeah. I do it every play. This is how you slow down one of the best defensive linemen in the NFL. This is how you do it. And if I'm the Broncos and the Broncos defense has the person, or excuse me, the Broncos offensive line, not great. So the Broncos offense should do this 100%. I don't care if you didn't practice it. I don't care if you've never thought about it. But if I am the Denver Broncos, I look at that game plan and I say, that's the only way we have a chance for our offense to put points on the board. Let's see if our other guys can handle it. And if not, then we'll go back and do what we've done. But they have to. To me, that is coaching malpractice if they don't try to do this, because every offensive line has very similar principles, right? You hear that a lot. I follow Mitchell Schwartz on Twitter. Man, he's a great follow, not just because of his foods and everything like that, but he does give great insight. You know, they do different things, the way that they shift, the way that they slide, where the back protection comes out. You know, you go left, you go right, you go where the mic backer is, all that kind of stuff. He explains all of that. Most offensive lines understand that. And that's what I think the Chiefs are going to do, which means, somebody got to make a play. That means you're going to get everybody gets one-on-one coverage. Every single person gets one-on-one coverage.
And I think that's the key. And that's what the Bengals essentially did, was they were saying, if anyone can beat us one-on-one, we know Chris Jones can. So we're going to make Chris never be one-on-one. And we're going to dare every other Chiefs player to win a one-on-one block. That's what they said. Mm-hmm. They said, we don't think you can. And on Sunday, they couldn't. George Karlaftis couldn't do it. Mike Dana couldn't do it. Mm-hmm. Frank Clark couldn't do it. Nick Bolton couldn't do it. Colin Saunders couldn't do it. Taylor Stallworth kind of did it one time, and then the referee said he touched Joe Burrow too hard.
See, that one, he did. He landed his full body on him. Like that, you're gonna get called that every time. That one did not upset me. That play did not upset me because he didn't put his hands down. Like we have to accept is it a terrible rule? Yes. Awful, ridiculous, over the top, yes. But they've called that every single time this year. Every single time. And somebody's got to make a play.
Yeah.
There were a couple times, I don't want to say every play. The majority, and 80% of the plays, Jones was double teamed and someone was there to help slide protect. When Jones was one-on-one in this article from Sports Illustrated, Burrow got the ball out quick because Chris Jones did get past his guy one-on-one. I mean, good little swim move, rip move, but Burrow got rid of the ball. So no pressure is going to be registered as a simple slant route. Like, they know what they're doing. They are not even remotely concerned about Dana and Dunlap and Karlaftis and every other Chiefs defensive lineman. This is on tape right now. How does Steve Spagnuolo counterpunch? Because that's all this is. Hey, we're going to do this. Okay, great. Let's see what the opposing team does. Do they make an adjustment? Yep, they're going to make an adjustment. All right, now let's see what the offense is going to do. And sometimes by that time during a game, it doesn't matter. Like, you're not going to see, okay, this and the adjustment, and then, oh yeah, we're really going to quick reverse back to it for another adjustment, and then no, that doesn't happen. Okay, that's there's not enough series in the game for there to be 3 and 4 adjustments. Normally, we see Spags make the right move. The Chiefs blitzed Joe Burrow, but the problem is that they can get home. They didn't get home with the blitz, or the Bengals were ready for all of those blitzes. So, to me, the Bengals' offensive strategy, their game plan, you got to. I know Mike Matheny hates cap tippers and hat tippers. You know it. They went with this plan. We are going to slow down 95. We will live with it. Basketball analogy, all right? We're going to let Ochai Agbaji go off. He'll get 25. We're going to limit everybody else. It's kind of the inverse there. Yeah. But you want to, like, the game plan is very, very simple. Or if you want to do it this way, Missouri. If I'm Missouri's basketball team, we'll talk a little bit more about KU Mizzou tomorrow for the border showdown or border war, whatever you want to call it. I shut down Jalen Wilson. I do whatever I can to shut down Jalen Wilson and say freshman Grady Dick, DeJuan Harris, Kevin McCullough, whoever the hell they're starting at the 5, doesn't matter. Either one of them ain't doing anything. And say, you're not doing anything, Jalen. We're going to shade someone to you all the time. We're going to sub guys in to rotate, and we're going to risk offense for defense. We're not going to let Jalen Wilson go for 25 and beat us. That's what they did. And the Chiefs had no answer.
It's a version of the strategy Bill Belichick's employed for years, particularly on star receivers. He's going to take them away, and it's going to be, if you're going to beat me, it's with somebody else. And the Bengals essentially did that in an offensive line situation of we're going to neutralize Chris Jones. We're going to make it to where he can't do anything. And Chiefs, if anyone else is going to beat us, that's up to you. And this is where we discuss complementary pass rush matters. Because even on the plays, if Jones gets through and Burrow doesn't get the ball out immediately, think about when Burrow started maneuvering from the pocket. Whenever he was flushed, there wasn't another guy there to help contain. That's where you need multiple guys not getting home, but you need multiple guys winning to then contain and escape. And they couldn't do that on Sunday. They could not pressure adequately, and when someone did, you never had more than one guy winning. So therefore, when only one guy wins, it's a super easy read about where you go to escape. Because there's usually a blatant escape valve for you. You got that way, you're good to go. And this is where if the Chiefs want to make a step forward, this is one of the most important parts we've talked about since last year. They have to find a way to get proper pass rush. The other guys that are not named Chris Jones get neutralized far too easily, far too often. And they were finally starting to show some strides as if they were actually figuring it out. And then for whatever is the case, they could not get it done against Cincinnati. Because there are plenty of guys that had one-on-one opportunities against not really the best offensive linemen in the world. Jonah Williams ain't a stud up there at left tackle, and he was having a field day with either Clark or Karlaftis or Dunlap or whoever you were throwing on him. Like, guys need to step up and make plays. Denver does not have a great offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
Partly because their entire offense is in shambles of injuries.
Yeah, they're beat up.
You have to be able to get some pressure in this game on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
There's no excuse not to.
So we will see if they do try to double team Chris Jones. One-on-one, Chris Jones probably going to get it done. In the game he did, but he didn't get to see a whole lot of one-on-one. He got either one of the guards to help out, at least one other shove, one other push, or a no questions asked double team. So what will Steve Spagnuolo do? We'll hear from Steve Spags coming up in the 2 o'clock hour. We'll get to all of that. Lots to get to here on this edition of Mic'd Up. Our list today, it is National Pastry Day. I love a good pastry. Our top pastries. Love them. Is a donut considered a pastry?
Yes. A donut's a pastry. I don't know what the actual textbook definition of a pastry is. I mean, maybe I'm wrong because I don't know what that is. But to me, a donut's a pastry.
Well, then, hear me out. If a donut is a pastry, most people refer to it as you don't call it, I want a donut. I don't want a pastry donut, right? You don't do that. Then to me, a hamburger is a sandwich, but it's called a hamburger.
Yes, this is where we're getting to that like, I think a donut is a subset of a pastry.
But is not a
like
hamburger.
A hamburger is the subset of a sandwich.
Okay. Earlier, you said it wasn't. It was its own entity.
Subsets count as own entities.
Okay.
It's a subset.
All right. Okay. So therefore, a hot dog is a sandwich.
That's a different conversation.
Bun, meat, bun.
I don't want to. I do not want to get into this.
Fulton, it all hinges on the hinge. Hey, real quick.
Yes, Jake.
Is a hinged hot dog a taco? It's got like the U shape kind of thing.
Why can't we just let hot dogs be their own category?
Because it's more fun this way.
That's fair.
We got a lot more to get to here on Mic'd Up. Major news today that, everybody's talking about. Brittany Griner is going to be leaving Russia. I woke up this morning and my phone had a whole bunch of alerts from sports and news and all this kind of crap. And I'm like, hey, what happened? And Brittany Griner is going to be coming home. She was in prison for 294 days there in Russia. And it was a trade. You know, it's kind of like when you were a kid. Hey, I'll give you this baseball card for that baseball card. But in real life, it is, hey, we'll give you this guy if you release him, and we will release Brittany Griner. Here's what I know about this. This has been a big topic in the basketball world and all of that. And honestly, across the country, it really, really has. This is honestly one of the most complex and so many layers of a topic that I don't even think half the people making, columns and all this even know what is all going on. I mean, you got a country in Russia, which is, let's be real. They're going to war with Ukraine for literally like half a piece of land. And they are insane. And they don't play by the normal rules. And you've got, they clearly, if her name wasn't Brittany Griner, let's say it was, give me somebody's name, like Joan Smith, okay? She would have been released like the next day. Might even not even gone to jail. Because it's Brittany Griner, Russia's going to be like, hey, we're going to get something for this, right? Like, it's a lot going on. And I can see a lot of different sides of this. But the fact that this story, like at the end of the year, when we go through like our year-end review stuff, this is going to be on there. Because so many people this has been a monster topic this entire year. It really has. But they are making a switch, and she's going to be released from prison. It's man, there's too many layers to get to. Coming up next, Paul Myerberg, Big 12 football breakdown. We'll get to that next. It is time for our Big 12 breakdown, brought to you by the 23rd Street Brewery in Lawrence. If you want to watch KU Mizzou, boy, you know where to go. 23rd Street Brewery on Clinton Parkway. It might get a little rowdy there this Saturday when KU's taking on Missouri when it comes to the hoops world. But if you need to, check it out at the 23rd Street Brewery. We bring in Paul Myerberg from USA Today. He is our Big 12 insider. Nobody does it better, and nobody knows it better than Paul Myerberg. Paul, I want you to, wherever you're at there in your location in your home, to go ahead and take a little victory lap on calling K-State winning the Big 12, not just a week from today when you said they were going to beat TCU, but also you said on September the 1st that, folks, I am a big believer in this K-State team. They can win the Big 12. Just a real quick tip of the cap to you, sir.
Yeah, please, from this point forward, please refer to me as noted Kansas State expert Paul Myerberg. I would appreciate that. Also, guys, I said on September 1st, I think it might have been 3 weeks before the actual game, because we were doing every week beginning like late October. So who do you think will be in it? Who do you think will be in it? I think it was 3 weeks ago that I said Kansas State is not just going to make the game, they're going to beat TCU. Mm-hmm. And I felt great about that. I felt great about it. It's Kansas State, an outstanding year. And as I said last week, this is just the start. I really believe, and I said this to someone in the industry this week, based on the Big 12, how it's going to look in the next 8 or 10 years, if Chris Kleiman's the head coach in Manhattan for another 10 years, I guarantee you multiple Big 12 championships. This is just the start. I don't think this is a national championship program, but this is a program that every single year in the new look Big 12 is going to be right in the thick of things. I just think this is the start. It's a wonderful moment for the program. First time in a decade, first time in 20 years that they've actually won the championship game. And I hope that everyone takes a step back like me and just appreciates it, because this was a fantastic year. And what a great way to end it in a really, really memorable and great Big 12 championship game against TCU.
All righty. It's a pretty simple question. How will you remember this game? How do you think when we go back and say, hey, do you remember the last Big 12 title that K-State won? We remember it because it was apparently the greatest team to ever be assembled, and they got waxed by Darren Sproles and L. Roberson. How are you going to remember this one? Because this was just a fantastic football game.
Yeah, it was really memorable. And then for a time, I guess until about midway through the fourth, I thought the Deuce Vaughn run was going to be the crowning moment. And even still, I think if you do the big plays in program history, a 5-minute montage, you'll see that 45-yard touchdown run right near the top. So that's a fantastic moment. But, kind of unfortunately for Kansas State, so, you win in the end. I think as of now, the big moment that I remember, and I think most people will remember going into Saturday night, is that drive by Duggan late in the game. I just think that when you look at individual players and you focus on their backstories and where they came from, Max Duggan was written off for dead. I mean, as late as September 5th, he was not expected to meet any of those expectations that came with his arrival as a pretty solid recruit. That was his crowning moment, his Heisman moment. That 80-yard drive where he did it himself, converted the 2-pointer, put his body on the line. Kansas State won the game, but it's hard for me not to come out of it and say Kansas State are the champs, but TCU and Duggan in particular should really be celebrated for a fantastic year and really a fantastic fourth quarter. So great game. Kansas State's defensive stand, Deuce Vaughn's run, you take that and you put that in the montage, as I said, but you can't take anything away from Duggan or TCU after what they did all season long and even late in this game.
TCU's got a good offensive line. TCU has a first-team, all-team running back. K-State fans are not happy that Deuce Vaughn didn't get that spot. But the Big 12 had 4 outstanding running backs. Devin Neal, Kendre Miller, Bijan Robinson, Deuce Vaughn. I mean, they had some terrific running backs this year. It's 3rd and goal at the inch line. And I mean, we're talking the inch line because his knee was down. I think they made the right call. Duggan did not get in the end zone on 2nd down. I think it was right. His knee was down. The ball did not cross the goal line. I couldn't believe K-State got the stop. When you're watching that, did you, I mean, I thought it was a foregone conclusion. I almost said, well, just give them the touchdown because they're going to get it. I mean, they got Kendre Miller. They got a terrific O-line. I thought it was a foregone conclusion. I could not believe that they stopped him twice. Maybe once. Hey, great penetration by, Felix and Udike Uzama, and it was great. I did not see them doing it 2 times.
No, I definitely did not either, nor did anyone else. And I think the question coming out of that game was, hey, what was the mindset? What was the thought process to Sonny? Like, what were you thinking with Duggan? Was he capable of running that? Did you feel comfortable running him 2 times in a row? Whatever the answer is, I'm surprised, as are most people, that they didn't let him keep it at least once. Quarterback sneak is the most effective play in the sport when there's, down and distance and short way to go. But again, like we saw Duggan on that last drive in the fourth quarter. It was like Byron Leftwich back in that bowl game in the early 2000s when he broke his leg and his teammates were carrying him down the field to throw passes. It felt like that moment. I just don't know what he had in the tank. Give it to Kansas State. They gave up a bunch of yards on the ground. They were not great stopping the run. They weren't great overall defensively, especially late. But great teams find another level, and they found that level in 2 plays that clearly represent more than the 400 yards or the 450 yards they gave up. That represents what this defense is about. Bend, bend, bend. They didn't break many times this season, and clearly the defense, along with Howard's ascension and Vaughn's excellence, is the reason why Kansas State is going to a major bowl and our Big 12 champs.
K-State played for the field goal. Normally that can be kind of risky because anytime you kick the ball, crazy stuff can happen. Zentner was 8 for 8 going into that game, and Zentner's low key is a huge weapon for them. I don't think people realize, and I've said this on the show before, how difficult it is for an individual to be the guy who does kickoffs, the guy who does punting, and the guy who does kicking, and is excellent at all 3 of them. I mean, he averaged 46 yards a punt, great on kickoffs, hammers them through the end zone, and he hadn't missed a field goal yet. And he's walking out there with a big, giant smile on his face. He's a local kid right here in Topeka, so we've known Ty for a while. But, it's risky, and I'm just – because you never know until it goes through.
No, you do. It's a great point. Also, he's got great hair. I know he's a local kid, so that's a fantastic moment for him. His importance to this team, I thought, went beyond the numbers. If you look at CFBstats.com, you look at, net punting, overall punting, Zentner's up there, but he's not, the nation's best. But for a team that relied heavily, especially when things were kind of dodgy with Martinez on field position, on ball control, what Zentner did just as a punter to me was invaluable to this team. So I'm glad that he got on for the kick and made it because it brought some attention to him. But he's been great all season, a major weapon. And I did not have an issue with him kicking the field goal. A lot of coaches will, when you get a stop in the first OT, you're always thinking field goal in the second go around. They set him up in a makeable spot. He put it through the uprights. So I didn't question that. Obviously, if he had missed it, it would have been a different story. But Zentner was great all year. And yeah, I am glad that a local kid, it's a great story to come in and nail that, and get to celebrate. It speaks to this team and the way that he's developed this program, climbing for his players from punter through quarterback. He's had a very hands-on, careful approach and really milking the most out of his upperclassmen.
So we've got K-State winning the Big 12. That means TCU. They had to sweat it out I don't think they sweated it out. And to be honest with you, if the college football committee did not keep TCU at number 3, then we needed to just burn the whole thing down. We said if USC loses, then TCU could get, doesn't matter what happens because they played a better schedule and all the people, oh, well, Ohio State only has one loss and their loss was to Michigan. No, that was a complete joke. And so I'm glad TCU, and the ESPN, and I get it's for ratings and all that. They really try to drum up some interest, but 1, 2, and 3 were a lock to me. And I'm glad they got it right. Otherwise, I don't know if I'd have any faith at all in the committee ever again. Did they get it? Oh, go ahead.
No, they got it absolutely right. I was going to say, just to echo your point, if they had put Alabama in and moved Ohio State to 3 and TCU 5, it would have been one of the biggest travesties in the history of college football. Because not just TCU-Alabama comparison, that's a joke of a comparison. TCU has got the better record, more wins, better wins, just across the board. They're better than Alabama across the board. But even Ohio State, TCU's got 5 wins against ranked teams. They beat the team that beat them in overtime in the Big 12 championship game. They've got great wins. They've got one of the best wins in the country against Kansas State. So they got it right. I did not buy into, as soon as TCU tied that game or even got within 8 points in the fourth, I did not believe for a moment that they were going to get knocked out. The only way they could have ever been knocked out is if they lost by 40. If they lost by 40, you could have maybe seen the committee do something crazy, but they felt good after Friday night. I know that. They went into Saturday feeling very good about their fate. Didn't impact the way they approached Kansas State, but they knew after Friday night, stay close, win or lose, we're in the playoff. And I don't know if that was their mindset, but they knew as a staff that they felt very good about their playoff chances about midnight Eastern on Friday night.
Did the committee get it right at number 4? Should it be Ohio State, who didn't get to play a 13th game, or should it have been USC, and they had to play a team that beat them once, and it's a bad matchup for USC. Utah hits them in the mouth. I mean, honestly, the Utah-USC game was a lot like the Michigan-Ohio State game. It really was. The team that was less talented, but a little bit more physical, better coached overall, offense and defense, ended up flexing their muscles.
Yeah, and you could see by the way USC dropped 6 spots in the final ranking that win or lose that game. If they had lost 43-42 again, they weren't getting in. And I think the committee looked at USC and was very skeptical of their defense, understandably. And I wouldn't say they were looking for an excuse to knock USC out, but it's very obvious to me going into Friday night that if they had lost, regardless of how they played or how Utah played, that they weren't going to get in. So I look at Ohio State at number 4 and I shrug my shoulders and just say, better than the alternatives, better than Alabama, better than Clemson, better than SC, better than Tennessee. I don't love them in the playoff. I hate to see a team get destroyed. When Alabama backdoored in a couple times, they lost on a kick stick or they lost on whatever, and it was different. Ohio State got mauled. So I have a hard time seeing them in the playoff, but I also realize that there's no other option. If Clemson had started Cade Klubnik against South Carolina and won that game, I think I would have put them in at 12-1, but Ohio State's the pick. We'll see how they do against Georgia. Sometimes teams get recharged by a loss. I look at Michigan, I look at Georgia, and I think Ohio State's in deep trouble because they need to change their entire system on defense to have a shot against the Bulldogs.
Yeah, Georgia going to run it down their throat, man. If you lost to Michigan by getting just ran through, man, Georgia going to do the same damn thing. That offense is big, nasty, and I think the Buckeyes are in for a world of hurt when it comes to that. Well, let's get to the bowl games, and we'll talk, a little bit more about them. But just your initial thoughts on K-State, Alabama, and Will Anderson, Bryce Young. Do they play in the game?
Yeah, that's the big question, and it's very hard as of now to get a real grasp on the game without Anderson and Young. My expectation is that Anderson does not play. For a linebacker to play in this game, there's not a lot to gain. He's got everything on tape to be a number 1, number 2, number 3 pick. He'll probably be number 3 or number 4 with the QBs up top. The big question is Bryce Young. I don't believe he's going to play, just based off recent history, based off the fact that he's been identified and even his own family identified this as his last year as soon as he got the job in 2021. So I don't think he's going to play, but if he does, it's a different feel of a game. If he doesn't, and Jalen Milroe is the guy for Alabama, Kansas State is in a really good spot. They can run at Alabama. I mean, I know that sounds really stupid, but I really believe that they can run at Alabama, especially if, with the fact that it's the season finale, they open things up for Howard a bit and let him run the football and show a different look. I like that matchup against Alabama. But if Bryce Young plays, all bets are off. He's a special talent. I hope Kansas State fans get a chance to see him if they haven't this year, because he's a dude who's just a magician. So let's wait a couple days. I think Bryce Young will probably make that announcement after the Heisman or coming soon. If he doesn't play, I think Kansas State's got a real nice shot at this thing.
I'm already ready for it, and we've talked about this. This is how narratives are. Alabama, if Young and Anderson don't play, and I don't think Will Anderson's playing at all. I think Bryce Young, because quarterback spot kind of up in the air. But let's say that neither of them play, and Alabama wins. You're going to hear, oh, gosh, our third stringers beat the Big 12 champs. That's how dominant we are. But if neither one of them play and K-State wins, then all you're going to hear from a bunch of media people and everything is, well, Alabama didn't try. I mean, their two best players who are going to be top 5 picks didn't play. Those are game changers, so the game doesn't mean anything. And I'm going to vomit all over myself if that occurs.
Well, put a bib on, because that's going to happen without a question about it. We know the history. Hey, look, like this game to me, in a little bit of a different way, feels a lot like the 2009 Sugar Bowl. In 2008, I know that's an eternity ago, Alabama lost to Florida in the SEC championship game. They lost. They then went to play Utah as heavy favorites, and Utah just absolutely put their foot on their chest. Yeah. And Kansas State has that potential. They are physical enough where if Alabama doesn't show up ready to go, taking it easy with second stringers or taking it easy because it's quote unquote Kansas State, they're going to get absolutely smushed. And I don't care. I don't care what people say. If Kansas State puts something on Alabama, or even goes 4 quarters toe to toe with Alabama and physically stands up to the biggest and baddest team in the SEC or the second biggest, I don't care what people say. That's a statement about Kansas State, not a statement about Alabama.
Let's go to the Jayhawks as we're talking with Paul Myerberg from USA Today. This is our Big 12 breakdown brought to you by the 23rd Street Brewery there in Lawrence on Clinton Parkway. All right, KU, Arkansas in the Liberty Bowl. How do you view this one?
I love this matchup for Kansas. I think Arkansas on defense has had real hit or miss moments. I think Kansas getting healthy bodes well for them. I think the question for Arkansas, KJ Jefferson at quarterback, he's already coming back, so he's going to play in the game. When he's under center, Arkansas looks a lot like a Kansas State Big 12 team and how they approach offense. And I don't know if that's great for Kansas. I mean, we've seen countless times during the regular season for KU, they will score points on people, but be undone down the stretch by a physical team that will control the line of scrimmage, will protect their quarterbacks on third down. And that's not a great recipe for Kansas. So I'm going to pick Arkansas in this game, but I do think that Kansas, if they start hot, they can put Arkansas into a position where they need to go a little bit faster. They need to maybe rely more on Jefferson as a thrower than as a hammer or a runner. So, we've said this all year about KU. The recipe is to start fast and to dictate the tempo. If they can do that against Arkansas, I think they've got a shot. But there is a talent gap. There's an experience gap. I think Arkansas as a team is a little bit more certain about who they are and how they would respond to adversity. Arkansas clearly the safer pick, but don't discount Kansas. I don't know what the spread is in that game. Probably Arkansas by, 7, 6.
I think it's around there.
I think Arkansas wins the game and probably a high-scoring game. But if KU starts fast, man, you never know. They could put it on Arkansas, win by 10 or 14 points, and just really, really, really develop the momentum going into the winter.
All right, the award season is upon us. First, I'll ask you, who wins the Heisman?
I do think it's going to be Caleb Williams. I think Williams had such a big lead after Notre Dame that while people have begun to wait a little bit longer until Saturday to cast their votes, I do think early voting is going to favor him in a big way. If you watch Duggan on Saturday night and you watch Williams on Friday, obviously you're going to come out and say Duggan is the dude because of what he did and what he means to TCU. So I do think he's going to be a fairly close second with a little bit more of a gap until Stroud. But yeah, I'd be surprised at this point if it's not Caleb Williams. I really would.
Okay. Let's take away that it's a quarterback award. Just give me the best player in the country. I don't care about any of that. I just want who's the best player.
Best player in the country. is a tight end from Georgia named Brock Bowers. He's the best player in the country, regardless of position. If I was going to build a team, I probably wouldn't draft a tight end number one. But Brock Bowers, to me, is the number one player in the country, a transformative tight end. I'm looking right now at my 2023 early Heisman picks. There's no defender that pops off the screen. So Brock Bowers, to me, is that kind of out of left field wild card Heisman pick. He's that good. I know you guys have seen him, but he is that good, if not even better. So and best player overall.
And he's so big. He's a monster.
Absolutely, and he can block you. He can put you on your back. He can be used as almost like a runner on a screen. He can beat you deep. He can outrun safeties, bully corners, outrun linebackers. He's just a special talent. Number one player in the country. He's a 99 out of 100. Absolutely.
Yeah, he's like a newer version of Gronk, to be honest with you, when it comes to the tight end spot. All right, who's coach of the year?
Coach of the year's got to be Sonny Dykes. I mean, I remember back when it was 5-0 KU, we were thinking, man, Lance Leipold, it can't lose this thing. You know what I mean? But still, I mean, losing 6 of 7 down the way robbed him a lot of momentum. I think it's got to be Dykes. I think Jim Harbaugh's done outstanding work. I thought Lincoln Riley did a great job, especially in the portal to get USC ready. But Sonny Dykes, 7th in the Big 12 in the preseason, number 3 overall, went 12-0, 12-1. Just an outstanding season, a special coach in a special season.
All righty, my 2 for the road. Very simple, very easy. Deuce Vaughn. If you were Deuce Vaughn, would you go to the draft? I have no idea where he's going to be drafted, but he can come back. I mean, he's already a legend in Manhattan. He could maybe even more so, but he still is. He's a Ring of Honor guy to me already. What would you do if you were Deuce Vaughn?
Man, I've been thinking about this today because of my Heisman list. I don't know what to say about Deuce Vaughn. On the one hand, you're a running back, cash in, you're eligible, your stock is good, get in the 5th or 6th round, go make some money. But NIL has kind of changed the equation here. And Deuce Vaughn can come back next year and be a Heisman guy, be an All-American guy, be the face of the program. And like you said, he's already written into program history, but he can be on the Mount Rushmore if he comes back and has a monster year. So you can't go wrong. I hope he comes back. Good for college football. It'll help him in the long run, but I understand the appeal of getting out while you can and saving some miles on the tires. So we'll see about Deuce Vaughn. I tell him to come back because of what it could mean for him long term, but I would not tell him or dissuade him from going if that's what he wants to do.
All right. Lastly, Deion Sanders at Colorado. Will this work out?
Oh gosh, this is just, I don't even know what to say. I think Deion will bring energy to the program. I think he's really good for college football overall, but there's really only 2 ways this can go. And that is, number one, he's a gangbusters, big-time hit. They get 6 wins in 23, 8 wins in 24. He's at Florida State or Alabama in 25. Or guys just kind of melt and don't like his approach on this kind of high level when they have options. I think that's the big thing. People in the FBS at the Power 5 level have options. And if you kind of diss them one day on a Tuesday, they'll be in the portal on Wednesday, or they'll be giving you a hard time at practice on Thursday. And I think that for Sanders, he's got to learn how to work these guys, not Jackson State guys, but Pac-12 Power 5 guys, transfer portal guys, and that's a big question. So if I had to guess, I'd say he does well, not amazingly well, but I'm just glued to my seat to watch this because it's one of the most fascinating hires in the history of the sport.
Paul, you are the best. We'll talk more about the games coming up next week. Should be a lot of fun. Once again, Paul, take a victory lap. Well done, sir.
Thank you, guys. We'll talk next week.
Paul Myerberg, the absolute best. My favorite guest on the show. I love Paul. Coming up, we're going to get to Mahomes and a top 10 defense. On a Thursday. Thank you so much for joining us, Jake LeBond, and a much healthier Fulton Caster.
Slowly but surely, we are recovering.
There we go. There we go.
I'm going to use this mind to tell everybody, if you get the flu, take it easy for a few days. You'll thank yourself later.
You'll thank yourself later. Yeah, being sick is just, it sucks.
It's the worst.
It's awful.
The absolute worst.
I got sick like one time from 2003 to 2020.
Then you had kids.
Then I had kids.
Just harbingers of disease.
Oh, man.
That's no disrespect to any specific children out there. Just children in general are harbingers of disease.
Yeah. Oh, and my poor kid. Oh my gosh, my little boy has gotten he got every damn, his immune system's gonna be like Iron Man. I'm telling you. He had RSV last year, he had hand, foot, mouth, he had COVID, he's had all sorts of he's a tough kid, but they just, oh my goodness. Every parent right now is going, oh, preach, brother. Oh man. So everybody, it is going around. Holy cow.
Yeah, it is.
It really, really is. So, but Fulton, you look a lot better.
Thank you. I feel immensely better than I started this week a lot worse.
Hey, I ain't gonna lie to you. You looked a little rough yesterday.
I didn't feel great.
That's why I was like, Fulton, bud, if you need to take another day off.
I will give Jake credit. I did walk into the office and I was sitting at my desk and Jake just goes, "Are you okay?" I'm like, I'm hanging in there. Jake's like, "I don't need you pulling no Byron Leftwich pulling down the field thing."
Yeah, I need that, man.
And I'm like, I'm fine. I got this.
Hey, there ain't a MAC championship on the line for you in this one, bud.
Man, not even a Conference USA title on the line.
Was that what that was, Conference USA?
Nah, even for that, I don't know if I would have fought through it that much. What's annoying for me when I get sick?
Damn, that Conference USA didn't have to take that shit.
Yeah, they did. They're awful. The Fun Belt, we'd have a different conversation. Conference USA, no.
Who's even in Conference USA?
I don't know. A bunch of has-beens at this point. That conference is terrible. The thing is, the reason I hate getting sick more than anything is I never get sick at all. I am a surprisingly constantly healthy individual. So the rare times every couple of years where I do get really sick feels, and I hate it. I don't like it. It's not fun. But today I feel a lot better. We're not even into the 90% yet, but we moved to like 82, 83% health. Earlier this week, I was at like 5%.
All right, real quick. Conference USA. Let's play. How many? Okay.
Is Old Dominion in Conference USA now?
All right. Starting right now with your guesses.
Yes.
I'll say here, there is 11 teams in Conference USA.
Okay. Western Kentucky.
Yes. 1.
Louisiana Tech.
2.
Charlotte.
3. Look at you go, man.
Florida International.
Yes. 4.
Florida Atlantic.
5. Man, you're crushing it.
Marshall.
No.
Oh, Marshall moved. Yeah, they did move.
You get one lifeline.
They did move. Oh, they might have changed conferences.
You don't know.
Oh, they might have changed conferences. I'm going to guess them, though. I think they've moved. Rice?
You're right. You keep going.
We're still there. Rice is still there. Okay, good. Yep. Great side dish. Southern Miss? No, they moved. They did move. Southern Miss did move.
Yep.
Are the Dukes in Conference USA, or are they in the Sun Belt?
They're in the Fun Belt.
Okay.
You got Charlotte, Louisiana Tech, FIU, Rice, Florida Atlantic, and Western Kentucky. You got over half. It's a victory, man. I'll give you that one.
I'll take that.
You missed UTEP.
Oh, yeah. UTEP and UTSA.
UTSA, they went undefeated 8-0, 11-2. Great year. Their quarterback, Frank Harris, is like, I'm not kidding you, 29.
Yeah.
North Texas, Middle Tennessee State, and UAB. There we go.
All teams I should have thought about.
This has been Conference USA Talk. Hit us up on our Big O Tires text line, 785-272-9429. We got Everyone Loves the List. We're going to hear from Spags and EB coming up here in just a little bit. But I can't stop thinking, Fulton, about that. Would you call it a graph? Is it a graph? But Scott Kazmir put out a chart, about top 10 defenses for about 13 quarterbacks.
No, this is just a chart. This isn't a graph because the thing is, you have an x-axis. You don't really have a y-axis because the y-axis is not.
But the y-axis is a pattern.
It isn't a pattern.
Yes.
No, this is a bar graph, kind of.
This is one of the best visuals with information out there. It is so good. I've retweeted it. We'll retweet it from our Sports on 580 Twitter account. Google @ very simple Twitter, Sports on 580. Here's the thing about this. Patrick Mahomes has not had a top 11 scoring defense. 12 and 13, they went to the Super Bowl. When they had the 12th best defense, they won the Super Bowl. Of these on here, nobody has won a Super Bowl with the 12th ranked defense. So my question I have for you, Fulton, is a simple one. Will Patrick Mahomes ever have a top 10 scoring defense? And if he does, give me the percentages that they win the Super Bowl.
I think because he still has a good length to his career left, I think a day will come where Mahomes finishes the year with the top 10 defense, where he actually gets to play with a really good unit behind him. I think that year his Super Bowl chance probably goes to about 48%. Because winning a Super Bowl in general, very hard, very difficult, hard to really guarantee. But if Mahomes, as long as in a year where he has a top 10 defense, as long as he and Andy Reid's offense is running at the level it usually is, how do you win? Truly. Because we've always discussed that the way to beat the Chiefs is you got to be able to score in some way.
Correct. Well,
if the Chiefs end up having a defense that makes it really hard to score, well, all of a sudden, how do you win if you aren't slowing down the Chiefs from scoring? And so I think if you ever gave Mahomes, or he put himself in that position, I think it would give him such a high chance to win a championship again and win his second ring. But when that day comes, I don't know when it would be. Because they're just how the Chiefs have invested in their teams and built their teams and things like that. And it's hard to build a top 10 defense unless you are building your team in a very, very calculated and specific way. And honestly, a little bit of luck tossed in there as well.
I think the best way to build a top 10 defense is have Bill Belichick be your head coach.
I mean, that too.
I mean, they're at 10 straight. What gets me, and this is just society in general, we cling to one thing and we go with it. There's not let's kind of change our perspective, right? We have heard so much that Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes are the perfect combo. And what if Lamar Jackson, or what if Russell Wilson, or what if Dak, or what if Josh Allen had Andy Reid, right? We've already debunked one myth. Well, Mahomes is so good because he's got Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. That's already been debunked because they have the best offense, and Tyreek Hill, who probably is the offensive player of the year, is not on his team, and they still have the number one offense. So that is debunked, right?
Yeah.
Well, he's got Andy Reid. Let me ask you this. Why don't people say, what if Patrick Mahomes had a top 5 defense? How come nobody brings that up? Hey, instead of something that already exists, and it's not, I mean, that's good scouting by the Chiefs. They went up, they moved up 17 spots to get Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, they knew his fit was perfect with what they want to do.
But how come they don't do the opposite? Where, Mahomes is so lucky he's got Andy Reid, or the Chiefs are so lucky because we've already debunked the one Hill myth.
Mm-hmm.
How come nobody says, I wonder what would happen if Mahomes had a top 5 defense? And the reason I bring up top 5 defense is this. Josh Allen has had a top 5 defense twice already. Had it last year.
Yep.
Didn't win it. And, who did he beat? The guy with the 19th best defense. Right? Like, how come Mahomes doesn't get that question asked, right? Where Josh Allen's had the number 1 defense and the number 2 defense. And, his rookie year, we're not going to hold that against him because that is not the same Josh Allen as he is now. Okay?
Correct.
Why don't we bring that up? How come that doesn't get brought up enough? If you give Patrick Mahomes a top 5 defense, I'm going to put a large sum of money on the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. I mean, in 2018, they were an offsides call from getting to the Super Bowl, and they had the 28th worst defense. Last year, they were a bad decision away at halftime, and a bad decision because they should have kicked the field goal.
Yeah,
they should. When you're inside the 5-yard line, you should always go for it. But there are certain
as I always say, there's extenuating circumstances where you sometimes overrule that. Getting some points to end a half in certain times, I can't agree.
And now, if they had a timeout, you run that third down play, but they didn't. I kicked the field goal, and then at the end, Once again, bad coaching decisions. They had the 19th best defense last year. If Patrick Mahomes and who's more at fault for having the 28th best defense? Is it Spags? Is it Reed? Or is it Brett Veach? Because Reed doesn't give a you-know-what about defense. Spags turned him around. I mean, to go from the 28th to the 12th to the 13th, but now it's starting to slip a little. This is 3 straight years where they have gotten worse scoring defense-wise. Right now, the Chiefs are 24th. So, where is there a fault? And we need to, I got to do a better job of this. Folks, they are a game away from being the 1 seed. They lost to a really good team.
Yes.
We sometimes we need to back the truck up. No one's going 15 or 16-1. No one's going to go 15-2. The Eagles right now are on that pace. And if they go 15 or 16-1, I don't think they will, because I think they got already a full 2-game lead actually on the Cowboys, because they own the tiebreaker because they beat the Cowboys. I don't think that's going to happen, especially, and the NFC is not good. There are 3 good teams in the NFC, as we've kind of found out that the Vikings are kind of frauds. And the Eagles pounded the Vikings. So, I don't want people to get all up in arms like doom and gloom, because that's kind of what people are right now. You lost to a good team by 3 when you didn't play well. That's going to happen.
Yeah.
You just don't want it to happen again in a title game. You really, really don't. So, but Spags' defense is trending in the wrong direction. 12, 13, 19, and 24. Is it on Veach? It's hard to draft, though. 28, 29, 30, 32, 31, all the time. It's hard.
But look at some of the defenders he's brought in, though. They've drafted good young defenders.
So is that more so, hey, let's wait a year? Or is it, if we're sitting at 24, there's still some time and they've played a very difficult schedule. That's why I say also at the end of this year, I think at the end of this year, with these 5 games left, the defense needs to be pretty good, because you're not facing great offenses. You're facing the Broncos twice, you're facing the Texans, and then you do have the Seahawks and you have the Raiders. But the Seahawks and the Raiders, to me, aren't world beaters on offense. It's not the Eagles. It's not the Cowboys. It's not the Bills. It's not the Bengals. You know what I mean? You're not seeing elite offenses to me the rest of the way. So this shows. I mean, last year, Matt Stafford had the 8th best defense, and they ended up winning the whole thing. And the defense won the game for the Rams. The year before that, the Bengals, Tom Brady, they had the 6th best defense. The year before that, the Chiefs had the 12th. That's why I think it's a big deal. You can't be 24th. We thought this defense could be what? 15th, 16th, right? You can't be 24.
No, you need to play better, and there's ways this team does it, but I think we're getting to the point to where the investments they've made beyond draft capital are where you have to start figuring some things out.
Yep. And making the big trade for Tyreek Hill might take some time to show dividends. It will, but this graph is just incredible. It really the start of Peyton Manning's career is so similar to Mahomes's when it comes to the defense. Look at the first 6 years for the Colts defense. 29, 23, 18, 31, 18, 23, 23. Then they had a stretch where it was pretty good. How about this wild stretch? 8th, 30th, 5th.
That's bouncing around.
That's kind of interesting. Coming up next, we're going to talk pastries for Everyone Loves the List. Loves the list. Today's topic. I don't know if you knew this, but today is National Pastry Day. I love a good pastry. Who doesn't? All righty, what do you got?
Crazy people don't.
Number 4.
Number 4 for me is quite simple. Give me just a good fruit strudel. Not one of the toaster ones you get from Pillsbury, though. Those are good on a cheap.
Very good.
But like a good, actually made strudel pastry, a little bit of fruit in it. Fantastic. Okay. Give me a fruit strudel.
Number 4 for me, an empanada. I like those. Those are good. They are good. I throw a little bit of kind of sugar on the top of them.
Okay.
One of my friends in college, his family would make them.
Empanadas are good.
So good. So I'm going to go number 4, an empanada.
Number 3 for me, give me a cannoli.
Okay.
Cannolis are very good. Very delicious.
Number 3 for me is, you called it a fruit pastry. What did you call it again? A strudel?
Fruit strudel.
Is it the same as a turnover?
No, those are two different things.
Are they?
Those are two different things.
I love turnovers, man. I remember when the coaches club was at Perkins, I would walk out of there every day. I'd buy a turnover.
Okay.
You know, announcers like that. Oh, you must be working at a bakery with all those turnovers. I love a turnover, man.
Turnovers are good. Turnovers
I
are
think
good.
It was Pillsbury, the little guy that you poke his belly and he gives you a hee-hee.
Yeah.
Yes. Those were good. My mom used to make those when I was a kiddo. Turnovers are good.
Number 2 for me, a good croissant.
See, the croissant doesn't do it for me because it's just bread.
But it comes down to what you put in it, though, Jake. Do you put fruit in it? Do you put cheeses? Do you put like other things, different things like that?
I don't.
That's what matters. It's not just the bread.
I don't.
Croissant with Nutella, one of the greatest creations the French ever made.
Number 2 for me, I'm going to be very specific. Maybe this is an eclair. Okay, it is the Long John donut with the cream filling. I don't know. Is that an eclair? Because that's kind of what an eclair is.
I think that's technically an eclair.
Then it would be the eclair. I love the chocolate cream filled or the Bavarian cream donuts. Who are you looking at in there? I can't see. You're looking at somebody there.
Questioning you.
Okay.
Number 1 for me is very simple. Give me a good beignet. Beignets are very good.
Yeah, okay. Number 1 for me, you hit it already. The cannoli. It's undefeated. The cannoli has everything. I love a good cannoli. You know, even the Godfather said that. Take the gun, take the cannoli. You take the cannoli. Coming up next, we're going to hear from Steve Spagnuolo and Eric Bieniemy. have done the Googles. The difference between a Long John that is cream filled, like with Bavarian, which is what I like, and an eclair. Okay. It is all about what dough you use. The major difference between eclairs and Long John donuts are the type of dough. Eclairs are made with a Chaux, C-H-O-U-X.
Chew. Shoe.
Nicely done.
Like the shoe you wear on your feet. Thank you, Great British Bake Off.
Nice.
That's the only reason I know my pastries is I watched that.
Hey, good for you. I would never have thought you'd watch that. That's kind of out of your
fun fact about me.
Here.
I love cooking shows and baking shows. I adore them.
Greatest baking show ever, Chopped.
Well, that's a cooking show more than a baking show. Cooking and baking are two entirely different things.
Well, yeah, but they do bacon there.
They occasionally, but it's also a cooking contest.
Well, it's a cooking contest and a baking contest. You got to do dessert.
You know what, Jake? That's fair.
It's both.
Chopped is very good.
Love
Chopped is great. Cutthroat Kitchen, great content. Yeah. Great show.
Anyways,
back to the point.
Chew dough,
yes, chew pastries,
which uses steam as a leavening agent, and then are baked. Whereas a Long John uses yeast as the agent and then are fried. So they are different, but they are kind of the same. That's where I love a cannoli.
Cannolis are so good.
They're damn good.
Oh, cannolis are so good. I could go for a cannoli.
Yeah. I want to bring this up since we're going to hear from Spags and EB. This is from the Big O Tires text line. And I think this is a good point. Is there something to be said about teams having to be more aggressive against the Chiefs that plays into scoring defense numbers, having to go for it on fourth down more often instead of kicking field goals or punting? Not the whole answer, but is it a factor? It is. And also giving up points late that don't matter. The Cardinals game, for an instance, perfect example. The Patriots game, or not the Patriots game. He used to play for the Patriots. That's Tom Brady. The Bucks game. The Bucks scored with 3 minutes left to make it a 10-point game. So they gave up 24, not 31, in my opinion. The Cardinals game was over when they were up 38-7 or 38-14, and they ended up with 21. Like, you know what I'm saying? Points are there's some flaws. It's not as bad as the win or the loss in baseball, but I agree with this Big O Tire texter from the 785. Going for it on fourth down does help, but also going for it on fourth down sometimes hurts you. Hence the Bengals. They went for it on fourth down, and it actually hurt the Bengals. They lost 7 points. Technically not 7. They lost 4. Because if you kick the field goal, you make it. So that was a 4-point decision by the Bengals. 7 points on the scoreboard for the Chiefs. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I think there is something to that. And that's why when the Chiefs had the 12th and the 13th best scoring defense, what did they do? Went to the Super Bowl. Like, you can't convince me otherwise. Why didn't they go to the Super Bowl in 18? Because their defense was trash. Last year, why didn't they go to the Super Bowl? Well, their defense did what they did against the Bengals earlier this year, just on Sunday. They didn't do enough on defense. I just wonder if they'll ever get a top 10 defense. That's what Patrick Mahomes, what he should ask Santa Claus. Top 10 defense.
So Mahomes should ask for Christmas?
Yep.
Yeah, fair.
Santa, hook me up with a top 10 defense. And you want to know what happens? Poof. He's on the Eagles.
Much like a genie, they'll grant you your wish, but in unexpected ways.
From the Big O Tires text line, strength of schedule each of those years. Honestly, it's probably close to the same because they've won the division, so they always play a tougher schedule.
Yeah, it's gonna be one of the tougher schedules every year.
Yeah,
so which is the same for every top division winning team.
And I don't know that on that chart graph. No. It doesn't say. Let's hear from the coordinators, Eric Bieniemy and Steve Spagnuolo. First, we'll hear from Steve Spagnuolo on the game against the Bengals and moving on to the Broncos.
Coach, tell me about Russell Wilson. I mean, great quarterback. For some reason, the system he's in isn't bringing out his best. But how do you view him? What do you see on tape?
Yeah, he listen, we're always digging into all of it, right? And I think there's enough really good plays on there for us to be concerned about another quarterback that can play really good. I think he's really good at throwing the deep ball. I know he wants to throw it. I think it's something we got to be concerned about. It's something we can't allow. When we limit explosive pass plays, usually points allowed turns out pretty good. So we got a great deal of respect for the player that we know he is.
Coach, I know you're always forward-looking, but just quickly on Cincinnati, you guys have been really good at getting to the quarterback, and it seems like they've got a knack for preventing that from happening for whatever reason. What have you been seeing that Cincinnati prevents you guys from actually getting that?
Yeah, listen, I thought that quarterback beat us with his brain, with his arm, and with his feet. I told the guys that on Tuesday. The brain part's on me. Arms and feet's on all of us. But getting to the feet part of it, I just think he's really good. When you had those few moments where we had kind of shots at him, he found a way out of it. He made it really tough.
That last touchdown that the Bengals had was kind of tricky. They had Chase in the backfield, and they hurried up to the line of scrimmage out of the huddle.
Yep.
Is there a mechanism for that when a team does that to try and make that quick recognition?
Yeah, listen, I'll give them a lot of credit. We had not seen, that was something that they had not done. They obviously were doing it because they were given a formation where they were probably trying to disguise where he was and try to get him the ball. And it happened quick. We had a call that was a little bit tougher to get executed when they go fast, and my hat's off. They picked the right play at the right time.
There's an empty spot right now on the defensive line. If Brandon Williams is the guy that's pulled up in time for the Broncos, what has stood out to you over the last week with him in town?
Yeah, Brandon brings a lot of energy. I mean, him and Joe know each other really well from their Baltimore years. I was actually with Brandon his rookie year in Baltimore, so I knew him as a rookie. They changed quite a bit from their first year in the league and that's interesting. I've had other guys that I've had young, and then years go by, and then I'm with them again, and they're just different people. But he's a big, strong guy. We'll see where we're at. I mean, it's only been 2 days. Yesterday we didn't even have helmets on, so it's going to take a little while to kind of sift through it.
Coach, you haven't been a part of this long streak entirely, the Chiefs beating the Broncos, but you've been in the league for a long time. What's it like to be on either side of a long streak against the divisional?
Yeah, it's interesting. I can remember those kind of streaks in the NFC East. One when I was at Philly with New York, and then when I was flipped. It's interesting. It's streaky. I don't know why that is. I'm not a gambler, but I once had somebody tell me that when it was so far one way, gamble the other way, because eventually it's got to happen. I hope that doesn't happen. I don't know. I haven't put too much thought into it because it's always the next game, and there's nothing that happened in the prior. Is it 13? There's nothing that in the 13 prior games are going to help us in this one. It's different people, so I don't put a lot of thought into it.
Coach, 13 straight, obviously. I know getting a fast start for a defense and for a team is always important.
Yeah.
Is it going to be even more important this week, facing a team that's really struggled and had just been kicked out?
Yeah, and we always talk about when we go into an opponent's stadium, from a defensive standpoint, there's a surge early. It's the crowd, it's the excitement, the players on the opposing team, they're home. There's some energy there. And we're always talking about having to survive that and then thrive in it. And if you don't do that, to your point, early, it can make it really tough as you go. And again, I've talked about this before, but the first and last series of each half to us for the most important series in the game, and the one you're talking about is the first time they come out there.
Stevie, Willie has been there a lot, but you subbed in Darius a little bit more. What are you guys trying to accomplish there?
Darius, in my opinion, when Willie was out, played some good football for us. And I talked with Willie about this yesterday. Guys that do that deserve to get some playing time, and at some point down the stretch here, we're going to need pieces to change. Brian Cook had to go in when Juan was injured, and Brian Cook had played some downs prior to that. I just believe in getting guys ready. It's not a reflection on Willie. It's probably more of a compliment to Darius than anything else.
That's what Steve Spagnuolo had to say to the media. Here is what Eric Bieniemy had to say.
Travis obviously was disappointed with the fumble. He's not someone who fumbles a lot. It looked like he was doing everything correct on that play. He's a veteran. He probably doesn't need a lot of coaching on that. But how do you approach that with someone of his stature when they have a fumble like that ends up costing?
The thing about Trav has been through this, and he understands exactly what you said. He's a veteran player. guys never want to go into a game wanting to fumble in football. So he was trying to do everything, but he understands that cannot happen. When you're playing in those type of games and that type of atmosphere, the margin of error is so small and so minute that the littlest thing can dictate the outcome of the game. And the thing I took away from all of it, from that experience, is just getting our guys to understand that you never know when something little can have such an impact. So it's important that we're focusing on the little detail aspects of our game. That way now we don't have to worry about that. So we got to take care of the little things. We got to take care of the details. We'll improve. We'll be better. And sometimes you need those type of lessons moving forward to help you to continue to grow in the right way as collectively as a group.
You're being touched by 3 defenders like that. Is the coaching point to continue to fight, or is it, is it both depending on the situation?
Well, here's the thing. And as a former player, there's always an ego about you. Hey, I'm the man. I can do this. I can do that. But sometimes you just got to know when to say when. You got to know when to surrender. At the end of the day, just like I discussed with the guys each and every week, the ball is the most important thing, not you. So let's just make sure anytime we're in possession of that football that we're handing it back to the ref after each and every play.
The Broncos have struggled, haven't won a lot of games, but their defense is still very good. What are the big challenges you guys will have facing their defense?
Every week it starts up front. Those guys are doing a heck of a job, and they're showing up on tape. Every week it starts up front. Their D-line is playing. They're playing hard. They're playing fast. Those are 2 interior guys, the Jones brothers. They're doing a hell of a job. Browning, number 53. I mean, they got some guys. Purcell's doing his thing. The backers, Josie, 47 and 49. And then hell, at secondary, Justin Simmons, Kareem Jackson, the nickel, number 21. It's a shame I can't think of his name. And then they got a rookie out there. I think the kid is from Nebraska that's playing. They're very good, okay? They show up on tape for all the right reasons. So although they are struggling, they're still the Denver Broncos. They're one of those teams that we know that has a great ideal and feel for what we do. So it's our job to make sure that we're not taking anything for granted. I can care less what their record shows. I do know this. When you look at them defensively, they're playing championship football. And it's our job to make sure that our guys are ready and plugged in. They need to go out and perform.
When you get to this point of the season, I mean, obviously they're not going to make the playoffs. But when you're watching them on tape, you're seeing that defense fighting like they're fighting for a playoff spot.
Oh, yeah. You got to understand, guys are auditioning for jobs. So anytime the Kansas City Chiefs are coming to town or teams are coming to visit us, it's their Super Bowl. They want to see how they measure up against a team that's had a great deal of success for a number of years. And so we know that we're going to get their best. And so when you know that, it's important that we do not slip. So I'm going to go back to what I said earlier. It's always about the little detail aspects of our game. We got to make sure that we're on top of everything. But we need to go out there and collectively play hard and play fast, but also have a sense of urgency and a sense of purpose in everything that we do by detailing their specific job on that one particular play.
I was surprised a week ago when Patrick Mahomes in here said that he's kind of liking staying in the pocket, and as he gets older, he wants to be more and more in there with an occasional breakout. Are you seeing that attitude from him and trying to help him develop that more and more and make plays more and more?
Oh yeah, I mean it's good talk.
So it's not true.
No, it is true. And I'm just bringing it to light because he's actually very, very in tune and staying focused on what can he do in the pocket to help him to get better, especially just like I discussed a few weeks ago about our interior 3. Those guys do a great job of protecting the depth and giving him an opportunity to step up. But Pat's one of those guys, if he feels something, he's going to find a way to make a play with his feet. And he's dynamic at it. And the thing that you don't want to do, you don't want to encourage him to do it all the time, but you don't want to discourage him from doing it as well. But he's doing a heck of a job of just stepping up in the pocket, playing with poise, and doing what he needs to do.
So he's not as old as he thinks.
I mean, this is year, 5 or 6? Yeah, I mean, he's 20.
Yeah.
How old is Brady? 45. Yeah, exactly. So he got a long ways to go.
Coach Lucas Niang has been back for a few weeks. Looks like he's had some team snaps, got in completely one snap as a sixth man. He's had 9 previous starts in the past. Just how ready do you think maybe he is to get back in that mix?
Yeah, I think Lucas is chomping at the bit, and I think obviously just like any professional player, they would all tell you, hey, I'm the man. I should be starting right now. But right now, those guys are doing a pretty good job up front of taking care of business. Although it hasn't been perfect all the time, but he understands his role and he understands his place, and he understands that the biggest thing right now is making sure if something was to happen, that he's mentally and physically prepared to step in when that situation presents itself.
How about O-line and tackles? Orlando and Wally have been kind of considered giving up the most pressures in the league so far. What's been the process of helping them out along with Chips and them?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll say this, just like I discuss each and every week, because it's not an excuse for those guys, but every week we're going to get everybody's best. And so every week is championship football. Those guys know exactly what they're going to be faced. As a coaching staff, we can do a great job, a better job of helping them out as well, knowing that some of the premier pass rushers that they're going to play against. It's just like the kid Browning, number 56. This kid was an inside backer. Now he's outside, wreaking havoc. Number 53, I can't think of his name, but these guys can play. They get after the quarterback. So we got to make sure we're staying in tune and giving them the necessary help. But also, too, those guys know in certain situations that help won't be provided. So they also understand that they can be better in certain situations. But as a coaching staff, we need to be better as well.
That is what Eric Bieniemy had to say to the media earlier today. Lucas Niang, what is going to happen here? He was I don't remember who asked the question there, but the two tackles who've given up the most pressures this year. Number 1, Orlando Brown. And number 2, Andrew Wiley. That is not on Andrew Wiley. Orlando Brown.
That's a different story.
Buddy.
Yeah.
I don't want to take a victory lap because I didn't want it to be because the guy on your team played poorly, but I called this.
It's a victory lap that you're not happy to take, but you think you're going to take.
I said, do not pay him the big money.
Yeah.
I need another year to evaluate it. I had no problem with the franchise tag.
Yep.
It's 1 year. You made the trade for him. You were going to get 2 years for him, but you don't re-sign him. If the guy turned down $30 million guaranteed and he's playing this bad, what's going to happen when you give him $30 million guaranteed, or 40 or 50 or 60 or whatever it was? Coming up, we're going to hear from Will Howard, K-State quarterback. hour of Mic'd Up on this Thursday. We are almost there. It's Friday tomorrow.
That is the day of the week that does tend to come after Thursday.
Man, feels like it was just Monday, like a couple hours ago.
See, I have that excuse because my Monday and my Tuesday were spent in a sleeping coma.
See, well, when you were in a sleeping coma, it went like 98,000 miles per hour here. So I can't believe it's already Friday tomorrow. That's incredible. We will finish up this hour. We're going to get to some comments from Brett Yormark, the Big 12 commish. We'll talk a little Chiefs defense. As always, hit us up on our Big O Tires text line, 785-272-9429. Love to get your thoughts on this edition of Mic'd Up. Check us out on YouTube. Very simple, very easy. Go to youtube.com, search Sports on 580. Click on our page. Click subscribe, click like. You can see Fulton rocking his KU hoodie. Very simple, very easy. Looking sharp, Fulton. So check us out. All of our in-game reviews, recaps, instant reaction, Chiefs, KU, K-State, Royals, high school, Washburn, all of that up on our YouTube page. But right now, we're going to hear from the K-State starting quarterback. He is Will Howard. Had a chance to talk to Will, and great conversation. Will's fun to talk to. Talked about a lot of different topics. We're going to get to, possibly redshirting. What's the schedule going to be like? What was he thinking during the goal line stand? What about Ty Zentner? So much to get to, but a great conversation with Will Howard, the quarterback of the Kansas State Wildcats. All right, Will, my very first question I've got for you, where did you guys get the cigars after the game? That's what I've been dying to know, is I'm seeing Deuce with, his big giant, glasses on, Felix NUDK Uzama's holding the trophy, got the cigar. One, who supplied the cigars? Like, did they just all of a sudden show up? And two, I have not seen a photo of you rocking one. Did you have one?
It's funny. I got in there pretty late, and I don't know who supplied them, but to my knowledge, they just started showing up. I think some of the coaches brought some guys might have brought some, but yeah, we were definitely well prepared for that. I did have a cigar at one point. You'll have to check out my Instagram post. I'm probably going to post later today. I'll have one with me with two cigars in my mouth. It was awesome. I had we're drinking Dr. Peppers and smoking cigars in the locker room, man. That's something I'll remember forever.
So you had no idea about this whole cigar situation that you were talking, to ABC and Holly Rowe and all these people on the field. And then you walk in and were you surprised? You're like, whoa, what is happening right now?
Yeah. I was a little surprised, but I knew some people had brought some. So, I knew there was going to be some, but there was a lot more than I had expected. And I walked in and I smelled it and I was like, oh man, that's awesome. And, I was talking to my family for a while out there. And once I finally got in, everyone was dancing around and yeah, it was a blast.
So were they lit or were they just, unlit cigars? There were some people really having a good time in the locker room.
Oh, they were lit. They were full on lit. Yeah, it was awesome.
Alrighty, so you fly back, and K-State on their social media handles, said, "Hey, you want to be at Bramlage later this evening? We got a surprise for you." Well, everybody can kind of put two and two together. You guys are going to come out. It was a sold out Bramlage, sold out game for the basketball game. So you guys walk out the tunnel, and then just the eruption. What was that like?
It was awesome. It was so cool. I didn't even go home. I went straight over to the game. Was hanging out in the Shamrock Zone for a little bit, took a few pictures, and then, we went down on the court and we were waiting for a while. Coach Tang came over and he hoisted it up and got us all going. And then they played a little hype video on the screen. And when we walked out, man, that place went absolutely insane. And it was just so cool just getting out there, talking to the K-State fans. And man, that was really cool. That was a really cool moment.
We're talking with Will Howard, quarterback for the Kansas State Wildcats, Big 12 champs, heading down to the Sugar Bowl coming up on December 31st. Of course, we will have that game for you, your home for K-State Athletics right here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9 here in Topeka. All right, Will, let's get to the game. Roller coaster of a game. My goodness, you're dropping dimes in there, throwing it to Malik on a deep flag route, hitting RJ Garcia with, a perfect pass. He catches it. But I want to go to overtime. They have the football. It's 3rd and goal at like the half-inch line. Normally, you don't watch the defense because you're on the bench preparing for the next series. But in this situation, it's different because you've had time to prepare. Were you watching the goal line stand? So it's 3rd and goal at the inch line. Are you watching it with your teammates? What are you and Deuce and, maybe Cooper and whoever, Ben Sinnott and all that? What are you guys talking about at that point in time when you see it's 3rd and goal at the half-inch line?
Yeah, we were I was absolutely watching. I was standing at about like the 50-yard line, I would say. Kind of and honestly, because I'm sitting there and I'm kind of getting ready. I'm getting prepared to, we're gonna have to go down and answer. We're gonna have to go down and score. And obviously, I have all the confidence in the world in our defense, but I just got to be ready for whatever. And we knew that if it came to it, we were gonna go down, score, and answer, and go for 2 to win the game. But obviously, our defense, man, I was going crazy over there on the sideline when they made that, on 3rd down, and then came back and did it again on 4th. Man, that was huge. It won us the game. It absolutely won us the game, and that stand will be something that is talked about for a long time in K-State history, and that'll go down as one of the key plays in K-State football history. That's something that was just so crucial in that game, and it truly won us the game.
When it's 4th and goal at the half-inch line and they're going for it, is there some of it where you waited until the official full on was like, nope, he didn't get in, because it's so close? You don't know if there's going to be a review. That's one thing that I dislike about review, is it takes away from kind of the moment, because you go, you can celebrate right now, but it'll probably get reviewed. We're going to have to wait another 2.5 minutes. And then the celebration's not the same. So right when, Eli Huggins and Daniel Green get the big stop, was it, and you knew right away, even at the 50-yard line, you're like, oh my gosh, they didn't get in?
Well, yeah, I'm sitting there and I couldn't really tell. I saw Eli, obviously, Deuce stuck his head in there, kind of blew it up, and then Eli pushed him back, and I kind of saw Kendre kind of jump back a little bit, and I was like, oh my God. And it really was when the place just went crazy. And, our whole fan base was just going nuts, and because they're all watching on the Jumbotron, I'm watching on the field, and I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden Austin Moore starts jumping up and down like crazy. I'm like, oh my gosh, we really did that. Like, my jaw dropped, and I frantically run over, get my helmet. I'm like, oh my gosh, we really did that. Like, now we just have to hang on to the ball. And, we knew that we had Ty, and I had all the confidence in the world in him. Legatron, man. And it was so cool.
All right, before we get into that, you guys call him Legatron? I did not know this.
Yeah, I just mess around with him and call him Legatron, man. He's a beast. He punts, kicks off for us. He's so valuable. Just as a specialist, like as a everything that he does. He's such a good punter and kicks off really well. And man, he really stepped up this year and made some some field goals for us. And he's just being able to have that and have a guy that's able to do everything as well as he does is such a blessing as a quarterback, because he can flip the field, he can, pin them back in their own end zone and obviously make kicks when he needs to. And I had all the faith in the world in Ty. I couldn't watch that last kick, but I knew it was going in as soon as I ran off the field and high-fived him, and so I was smiling. I was like, man, there's no doubt in my mind he's making this kick.
Yeah, we know Ty well here in the Topeka areas. He's a Shawnee Heights product, and we've been saying, hey, give him a chance to kick the field goals. We know what he can do, so we know all about Ty. So you didn't watch the final kick. So your head was down, like it was kind of a that type of moment, and you waited for the crowd reaction?
Yep, head was down. I was saying a couple prayers, and man, I just my arms wrapped around a couple of my teammates, and yeah, all of a sudden, everyone around me just went crazy, and I was like, oh my God. I mean, I knew it as I'm running off the field. I kind of gave Ty a high five, and I said, man, let's go win a championship. And then he gave me that big smile. And,
so you're the reason why we saw the video of him smiling then? That's you.
I wouldn't say I'm the reason why, but, that was kind of that moment was like, we just kind of looked at each other and kind of knew what was going to happen. So, yeah, it was awesome.
Because that was the one thing that everybody probably kept rewinding afterwards. We're like, this dude is about ready to kick a game-winning field goal, and he's smiling. Like, that's pretty great. All right, Will.
I know it was awesome.
I do have to ask you this, and this is fascinating to me because there were reports that the plan was for you to redshirt this year, and in the TCU game, Adrian goes down. Well, that's okay. The redshirt rule is 4 games, no big deal. You come in, you look like Dan Marino, throwing passes to everybody, throwing touchdowns, but then. Okay, you play in the Oklahoma State game, you kick the snot out of them. He comes back, the Texas game, okay, you've played in 2 games. Then you take on West Virginia, that's 3 games. Now you're looking at the Baylor game's the 4th game. After that, no more red shirt. Did you realize that, obviously, going into the KU game saying, well, there's no more red shirt once I take 1 snap in this game against KU?
Oh, yeah, we absolutely knew. And, when Adrian got, kind of re-injured in the Baylor game, I knew, that I guess it was the plan was to redshirt, but if it came down to it, and if a Big 12 title was on the line, I had absolutely no problem burning it. So once he went down at Baylor, and then I played at West Virginia, and then KU came around, I was there was not even a thought about it. I was just like, man, how many times you can get this opportunity to, go to a Big 12 championship and get a berth in that game, and then, have a chance to win the Big 12. And I'm so glad I did it. It's crazy how things can change, how, things can do a complete 180 for you in one season and 6 games or whatever it was. And, I'm just so blessed to be in the position that I am and to have the guys around me that I do.
And you mentioned it, a 180, 15 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, completion percentage of 62%. Your adjusted air yards is 10, which is incredible. And we joked about it on our show as we call you Dan Marino because you've been slinging it down the field and you turned Ben Sinnott damn near into Travis Kelce. So it's been so much fun. What's the change? Where did it click? And I believe I heard you say something like the game has slowed down for me. How did this come about? Was it just something that simple, like a light bulb going off from your first 2 years to this year? What's been the biggest change?
Man, all it really took was a little momentum and a little confidence. I've always said the quarterback position in the game of football itself is completely all about confidence. And if you don't have confidence, you're not going to be able to be successful. And, that's something I definitely had to work on from my first 2 years. Kind of going through some struggles and kind of being out there as a young kid, kind of, going through the fire a little bit, definitely hurt my confidence, in that moment being a young kid. So I had to grow up. I had to mature, go through some tough times to come out on the other end of it. And I'm so glad I did. And, in the moment, it's hard to see that, when you're a 18, 19-year-old kid, kind of going through the fire, it's kind of hard to, see that it's going to help me in the end. But man, looking back at it, those times did me so well, just because, I was out there this year, and all the, being under the lights, all that stuff wasn't new to me. It was something I had already done. So I could really, truly focus on my game and just focus on the defense, what they were doing. And now being in the system 3 years, I know the offense like the back of my hand. And, Coach Klein being the OC this year helped a ton. And
how has he helped you?
He's helped me a ton. He's, being in the room with him and being able to bounce ideas off of him and just, kind of share the our ideas together, just because we're in a meeting room every day and he's able to ask me what I like, what I don't like. And I'm able to ask him why we're doing this, what the purpose of this is. And, it's just, you could tell we were really on the same page about a lot of stuff, and we were were really clicking, and obviously we have a really, really good relationship, and it was fun to go through it with a guy like him. He's awesome, and man, he made some really good play calls in that game and all throughout the season, and it was really cool, and it's just kind of cool to see it kind of all the hard work and the tough times kind of help me and kind of come to fruition this year.
Yeah, it's always nice to have the OC go through it about 10 years ago, because he can tell you, hey, I've seen this, I've done this. I think that leads to a little bit of credence and a little bit of an experience aspect. All right, I do wonder, what do you do right now? You don't play till the 31st. You don't practice every day in the month of December. So right now you're just chilling at your house right now. Like, do you guys take like 4 or 5 days off? Like, what's the schedule like been for you?
Yeah, well, I mean, the coaches are on the road recruiting right now, so we get a little bit of a week off this week. We have to go in and lift a couple days, but really it's pretty on us. And we have finals coming up next week, so trying to kind of wrap up schoolwork, focus on that for the next really 2 weeks here. And we got some practices on the weekends when the coaches are back in town, and I know they have official visits and stuff like that. But it's kind of nice to unwind a little bit after going through it for really 4 or 5 months straight, kind of just getting after it, every week and not really having a break. It's kind of nice to step back a little bit, have a little bit of a break. But we're at the same time, we're still, I'm trying to get ready for Alabama a little bit, just, kind of the beginning stages of it. But, we got a big test, and I'm excited for it.
So because you're not doing football, all day long, and you can only lift so much, what do you do then during your downtime? I'm always interested in what some players do. Is it, back when I played, we played a lot of Guitar Hero. That was actually big when I was in college. We played that, Call of Duty just started back in 07. So what do you do? Like, are you an outdoors guy? Will they let you do some of that stuff? Because I know, a bunch of your teammates are big fishing and hunting guys. Like, what do they kind of allow you to do, and what do you like to do?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge video game guy. We do have Guitar Hero in my basement, and I do like to do that every once in a while. The last couple of days I've been taking some naps, something I haven't really been able to do in a while, just with the schedule I've had. Yesterday my roommates went out hunting. I've actually never been hunting. I think I want to do it maybe in the next 2 weeks here. It's not really something I do from where I'm from, but I've just really been hanging out, watching some movies, and kind of just having some downtime. It's amazing. I haven't had, time to just really do whatever I want and kind of lay around for a while. I'm starting to kind of itch to get back to doing something. But it's kind of nice to just relax.
Final thing I got for you. Finals week is next week. What final are you not looking forward to? So give me the class. Is it, whatever it is? I want to know the final that you're like, man, this isn't what I want to do.
So I'm an accounting major, which is not easy.
No.
And I have 2 accounting classes this semester, one 331 and 413. The 413 is definitely the one I'm a little more nervous for. It's definitely like, kind of riding between a grade. I definitely need to do well on that exam to kind of bump myself up to a B. But it's that's been a bear of a class this semester. So I'm not looking forward to that one, but it's trying to get ready for it right now. So it'll be good.
Well, I can tell you that I definitely don't miss school, and I'm glad I don't got to deal with that anymore.
Yeah, no doubt.
Will, we appreciate the time. Dress warm if you go hunting, because there's nothing worse than just sitting there and being cold, because it's not like football.
Absolutely.
It's not like football where you're running around and sweating. No, you just kind of sit there. So that's my advice to you there. Make sure you bring hand warmers, the hot hands. Those will save you. Those will save you. Will, thank you so much for the time, my friend.
Yeah, no problem. I appreciate you having me on.
Will Howard, quarterback for Kansas State. Great stuff there from Will. How about a lot of things there? One, cigars were ready, man. Lit, partying it up, You
got to have the victory cigars ready.
Did Joe Burrow start that?
I don't know if Joe started it. I feel like Joe popularized it, because I feel like when I first saw like ESPN really blaring it out, was all the guys post game of LSU.
Okay. The part about do you remember when Zentner, they made a big stink about that Zentner was smiling when he went onto the field. Now we know why. Because Will Howard went up to him and said, "Go win us the title," and he just started to smile. How about that? That's so cool.
I wouldn't be able to stop smiling if I was Ty.
That's fantastic. And now this is where, kind of the downtime where, when we chatted, he was just chilling in his house. Good to know Guitar Hero still has legs.
It's still going, man.
2022 junior in college, senior really, because he will get a year back. But, well, no, he's just a junior. That is right. Yeah, just a junior. And he still got Guitar Hero, man. I remember when I played Guitar Hero for the very first time. It was in the Best Buy. And I was like, what is this? That was back in like 05, maybe 06.
I still remember when my sister and I were just begging our dad to get us Guitar Hero. We were happy when he finally pulled the trigger. We were very happy.
Still holding on, man.
I wish I still had my Guitar Hero set. We
gave ours away.
Yeah, we sold ours a while ago.
Yeah, we gave ours. When we moved, we gave it away. There'll be a time when my son wants to play Guitar Hero. And I'm going to act like I don't know how to do it. And I'm going to guess it's like riding a bike. I'm going to break it. I don't know what to do. I don't, what is this? What are these buttons?
Are you going to try and hustle your son?
There will be no monetary value in it because me shredding him in Guitar Hero will be all that I need. Have you seen the movie, underrated movie, Grandma's Boy? Have you seen that?
I have.
Hysterical movie. It's about video games where he goes on there and he's like, whoa, did I break it? What high score? What does that mean? That's going to happen. Somehow, hopefully here in the next 12 years when my son, was like 14 years old wanting to play Guitar Hero. And he's like, Dad, you want to come play? And I was like, I don't know how to play. What's the deal? How do you do this? And I'm just going to I hope it's like riding a bike. I need to find someone who has it, put it on there.
Stay loose.
And yeah, take care of it. Oh, yeah. That's great, though. I love that. He's never been hunting. I figured a Pennsylvania guy would
I figured that he'd have some time up there. They have good spots up because is he from Western Pennsylvania? I can't remember from where in the state he's from.
I don't know. Westchester. Nope. He is not from now this makes sense.
He's from Westchester, PA.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Do you know where Westchester is?
I don't know. I assume that's going to be near, though, more towards your coast.
Oh no. Well, define coast.
Well, more towards more towards I know none of Pennsylvania butts up against the coast, but more towards the Atlantic side of the state, the eastern side of the state.
Well, he's probably 40 minutes from Philly.
Oh, yeah, now I know why. Yeah, now I know why.
But Westchester's not like a suburb of Philly.
Well, no, but from the little bit I know, I don't know that area as well when it comes to hunting, that it's more like the western, more upper parts of the state are where you'd want to go. That part of the state's going to be so urbanized
now
that I can kind of see why.
Now we will know. Next time we talk to him, we'll be like, hey,
did he go?
How did it go? And
did you bag anything?
Yeah. Did
you fill your tags?
Did you take care of Bambi's mom or Bambi's dad? That's great stuff. And think about that. It's like, yeah, I thought we were going to redshirt, and he's so right. It's confidence. I've said this a lot on this show and 580 Sports Talk beforehand. When you see a true freshman play right away and is impactful, that's the exception, not the rule. Like Deuce Vaughn. Remember? Yeah, we got this guy named Deuce Vaughn. He's a little guy. Man, he's good. And look at Deuce Vaughn special. Yes. If you are that dude as a freshman, you are special. And especially at the quarterback spot.
Oh yeah, especially quarterback.
I look at Jacob Lawrence. Came in, took the job of Bryant, Kelly Bryant, and leads them to, a national championship. Next year, kind of same situation. Like, at the quarterback spot, it takes some time. That's why you don't see a ton of true freshman quarterbacks. And you just need some confidence. And you can't go to the store and buy confidence. Besides, what aisle would it be under? Come on, that was a good one. Fulton, come on, man. It's so true. It takes confidence is such.
Yes.
Ask Jalen Daniels the same thing.
Yeah.
It is. And once you got a little bit of confidence and
goes a long way.
You understand the offense, it's not a surprise. You can get so many examples. Josh Allen.
Yeah.
First 2 years, that dude stunk. And look at him. So that's a big deal. So really good stuff from Will Howard. The Big 12, are they going to expand? We'll hear and get some comments from Big 12 commish Brett Yormark next. The Big 12 had a great championship game. But what did Brett Yormark, the Big 12 commissioner, have to say about what is going on in the Big 12? How about this? This is what Brett Yormark had to say at the college football meetings, I guess you could say, out in Las Vegas. Ross Dellinger of Sports Illustrated says this: Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark on the 2022 season. We are the deepest conference in America, and it played out. There was a perception that this conference was defined by Texas and Oklahoma. We are bigger than two schools. Texas and Oklahoma finished 3rd and 7th. K-State, TCU advancing ahead of them. Big 12 in the college football playoff. Here, real quick, trivia question. Name the Big 12 teams that have made the college football playoff.
TCU, Oklahoma, end list.
End list. TCU and Oklahoma. How about that? TCU, Oklahoma, end list.
I really thought there was going to be a third in there after I said Oklahoma, and I was like, no, I think that's it. And Oklahoma got waxed by LSU, which we all knew was coming. That wasn't Oklahoma's fault. That was LSU was playing a different sport than everyone else.
Yeah, that LSU team might be one of the, was it 19 LSU?
Yep. That's one of the greatest college football teams of all time.
That team was
that
legit.
LSU team in 2019 was I've never had more fun watching a game though.
Think about
God, I love Joe Burrow.
Pray for those defenses that had to guard Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase.
And Clyde in college was good.
Yes.
So you had to deal with that too.
Yeah. Uh-huh. And what is it? Moss, the tight end.
Yeah, Thaddeus Moss was playing pretty well.
Yeah.
Defensively, Grant Delpit should have been on that team. Christian Fulton was on that team.
They were good.
Greedy Williams was on that team.
They were good. They're good.
That 2019 LSU team was nasty.
Brett Yormark on adding 4 programs to the Big 12 and getting into 3 time zones. We'd love to get in that 4th time zone, and we will at some point. Hey-o!
Cal Berkeley to the Big 12 confirmed.
Wrong choice, Joyce.
I was just going for a joke answer, obviously.
Brett Yormark on expansion over the course of the not too distant future. I would expect things to happen.
Hello.
Arizona. Are the Arizona schools? No, they're Mountain Time, aren't they?
Yep.
So that's not the 4th time.
If we're going Pacific time, we're going onto the coast.
I think the schools you would go after, to me, it's Washington and Oregon.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to bring in Stanford.
No, I wouldn't waste my time with
Cal.
Stanford. Definitely not with Cal. I wouldn't waste my time with Stanford.
And that says no on Colorado. And if they're like, well, they got Coach Prime, man, he's going to be there for 4 years.
Yeah.
He's either there for 4 years and he's so good that he's going to go to a better program, or he's there for 4 years. 1, because his kid's now out of school, and 2, he didn't do well.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. I mean, depending on if their success is sustained, you could contemplate Oregon State, depending on what you need to do. But that is such a historically not successful program that you really don't want to worry about it. Same thing for the Cougars in Washington State.
Yeah. I don't think they're there. And Arizona State, I mean, they're in the Mountain Time.
Yeah, like if the idea is the 4th time zone, it's Oregon and Washington. If the idea is more schools, hello, Utah.
Utah in Mountain Time or
Pacific
Pacific
They should be
time?
Mountain Time. As far as I know, the state of Utah is in the Mountain Time zone.
Right now, they are 1:41. Current time in Salt Lake, 141.
Minor breaking news with college football, especially in our local area.
Wait. What happened?
Derby running back Dylan Edwards has decommitted from Notre Dame and has reopened his recruitment once again. He will be signing elsewhere December 21st. He tweeted this out 3 minutes ago. So former Kansas State football commit, then Notre Dame commit, 4-star State of Kansas running back Dylan Edwards from Derby is back on the market.
K-State fans, I got some bad news for you. He ain't going back to the Cats.
Good friend of our program, Kellis Robinette, tweeted this out.
This is where I was going to get to.
Derby running back Ed is back on the market. Remember, Deion Sanders in Colorado offered earlier this week.
Remember when we said that players don't go to the university, they go to the coach?
Yep.
Unless you've dreamed to play at that school.
It is rare that a kid is picking a school just because of the school. It's why so many players will often transfer when their coach goes somewhere else.
Caleb Williams, decided to play for Lincoln Riley.
Yeah.
Do you think he loved Norman?
No, he wanted to go play for Lincoln Riley. That's why when Lincoln Riley went to USC, Caleb was like, see you.
You mean
it was no disrespect to Oklahoma. He wanted to go play for Lincoln Riley. He didn't want to go play for Oklahoma. For other places, that's different. It's a different sport. Mitch Lightfoot wanted to go play for Kansas. It didn't matter whatever would have happened at the university. Mitch Lightfoot wanted to play for Kansas.
Mm-hmm. There's a difference. So he'll go. He's gonna probably be a Buff.
I'm going to use this time as my usual thing, though. Please don't put ire towards kids when they keep changing their decisions. So these are big decisions for their lives. Let them take as long or whatever circuitous path they need to get to their final destination. Just my usual little caveat in there.
You're speaking rationally. When has anybody been rational on social media or
Never.
A message board?
Because now Dylan's going to get a bunch of Notre Dame fan hate mail. Actually, probably not a bunch, because Notre Dame fans, there were a bunch of Notre Dame people when he was committing there that were just like, oh, why does it matter if we got some 4-star from Kansas? Which led to some Kansas State people being like, well, Dylan, that's why you shouldn't have decommitted in the first place, because Kansas State will love you. And now we're getting more. But K-State fans, I don't want to see you get hurt. He is likely not coming back.
I don't think Notre Dame's fan base is too online heavy like others, because most Notre Dame fans probably think they're better than you. So they're like, oh, we don't need him. We're good.
I don't know. I don't know about so many of these. I'm just, I don't know, man.
Look, I hope he crushes it anywhere he goes.
Wherever he goes, I want Dylan to play well.
Yeah.
I just want people to, be nice to kids online. Be nice to athletes online when they're young student athletes making decisions for themselves. They're 18, 19-year-old kids.
I want my wife's next scratcher to give me 10 grand.
Listen, I know it won't happen.
Okay.
I can at least ask our listeners to please be polite.
Yeah, exactly.
They're mostly good. Everyone we have listening to, you're good people. Don't be one of those that starts going in on the comment section of a Twitter account bashing a kid for he's 18 years old.
He's having a hard time with this because
yes, it's a big decision.
Well, he committed to K-State and was like, I'm all in, and then Notre Dame, and now he obviously is not sold on one thing one way or another. But good for you, Dylan Edwards. Go where you want to go. I will not. You know what?
Coach Prime, enjoy your new running back.
I'm mad he ain't going to Washburn. What the hell? I'm going to get in his mentions. Worst decision of your life.
Should go be a bod.
At least he's not going to Emporia State.
Yes.
Yeah, people suck.
Because trust me, there's already... I was checking out one tweet, and there's already stuff in the replies.
Fulton, you can't do that.
I can't help myself.
No, do not
I hate people.
do that. Why would you do that?
Because I can't control myself.
Why do you want to find out how the sausage is made? Come on, man.
Because sometimes, listen, I am a naive individual and think, man, maybe it'll be better than I think. And then I look at it and go, nope, human race, still as bad as before.
The older you get, the more you're going to realize that an individual person, like Fulton, I think you're a great guy.
Thank you.
Hard
Thank you,
worker when you're not sick.
Yes.
Like you're a good dude. But then when you lump people together,
it's bad.
They're terrible.
Yeah.
No, that's simple. But Brett Yormark gonna expand? The question is not too distant future. All right. Not too distant future is relative.
Very relative.
Is that the not too distant future? That space that we had there?
Is this the not too distant future?
I don't
that
know.
Amount of space?
I don't know. To a fly, the not too distant future is like 2 days.
To a sea turtle, it's like 40 years.
Exactly. And then finally, Texas Tech athletes in name, image, and likeness. They averaged $20,000. That's awesome. But then we've got more ADs who apparently, not an AD, beg your pardon, it's commissioner, who want to put the toothpaste back in the tube. ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips was asked about NIL. He says, we need help from DC. No, what you need to do, Jim Phillips, is this. You need to make your bed and stop crying. We knew this was coming. You knew this was going to happen. You fought against it back in 2018. You knew then that NIL was coming. And you did nothing. And in fact, not only did you do nothing, you were like, nope. Let's take it to the Supreme Court. And you got waxed 9-0. Amazing. Think about this. The Supreme Court was 9-0. They can't agree whether 9-0. I got a gray quarter zip on. But yet they were like, yeah, fam, this is terrible. 9-0, you're done. You spent millions and millions of dollars on lawyer fees and time to keep this from happening. And instead, what you should have seen is you could have gone to any single person who follows the game and go, yeah, you need to start looking to the future. You had 5 years to figure out a plan, but instead you didn't because you're too bad at your job. Because all you had to do was do this. Hey, everybody, let's get together and make some rules. Okay? We're going to make them uniform. We're not going to make it by state. We're going to make it by the NCAA. Couldn't figure it out. So now you got all sorts of different ones, technically 51 different ones. That's your fault. That is your fault. All you had to do was make one simple decision. You didn't. Jim Phillips, Bob Bowlesby, Delaney, who was the ACC or Big Ten commissioner at the time. Jim Delaney, all of them. You guys screwed up. Mark Emmert, this is on you. Don't blame, because now you got people who want to spend money on college. Yeah, that's on you. Asking the government to help us out. How about you do your job? Embarrassing. Coming up next, we're going to talk about Chris Jones. Tomorrow, we will get to a lot of previews. We are going to talk to Drew King of Power Mizzou on all things. Do you call it Border Showdown or Border War?
I call it the Border War still, but I think it's
look at you being.
I think it's supposed to still be called Border Showdown. Listen, I have an unhidden hatred of Missouri, so therefore I would call it a Border War. To which Kansas is going to win by like 80.
I'll take that bet.
Well, not by action. I'm not that stupid.
I know. We will also talk with Zach Stevens of DNVR to talk some Broncos.
See how he's doing watching that offense on a weekly basis. Hope Zach's okay.
Not good. Speaking of the Denver Bronco offense, do they employ the same strategy as the Bengals?
I think they'll employ a similar one. I don't know if they'll do it identically.
And what I mean by that is, basically double teaming Chris Jones almost every play, kind of sliding protection, and very rarely letting him go one-on-one.
I think that will be their goal. I think they will have seen how well it worked for Cincinnati, and I think that's going to kind of be their method and what they might try and do coming up against Kansas City, because they know that their line already probably needs a little bit of help on Jones, but now they've seen, wow, if you force everyone else to go one-on-one, it can kind of work. Let's just try it. And I think there'll be a renewed effort to try it that way for Denver on Sunday, especially being down multiple weapons too.
Yeah. We'll finish things off coming up next with the mic drop. Mic drop. All right, Fulton, what do you got?
Complimentary pass rush is important, and the Chiefs were this close this month. They had that thing figured out. And then against Cincinnati, not a single person could win their one-on-ones. There's a lot of things to fix for the Chiefs going forward if they want to get where they want to go, win the Super Bowl, compete in the Super Bowl, beat teams like the Bills and the Bengals. But to do that, the guys, when they're given one-on-one chances, if you're Mike Danny, you're Karlaftis, you're Clark, whoever, you got to win them at some level of respectable level, because if you don't, you're going to get more games like Cincinnati where you are ineffective. Someone else needs to begin to step up.
A Long John that is Bavarian cream filled is not an eclair unless it's made with a specific dough.
Eclairs must be made with choux pastry.
That's the number one takeaway from today, folks.
Jake learning about choux pastry.
Because a Long John is the same as a eclair, except for the dough. Still has cream. Now, it's got to have the cream in it.
Yeah.
It's important stuff.
I'm just going to go watch Bake Off tonight.
We got more coming up tomorrow. Coming up next, Mike, or 580 Sports Talk.